Now stop me if you've heard this one before, but we now have more news about the next Star Trek movie. Brace yourself as we're venturing back into the Kelvin Timeline it seems, with JJ Abrams producing a movie and Matt Shakman serving as the director. Is this film actually on the horizon, or is it another development project that isn't going to go anywhere? Let's dive into the latest news and talk about it more.
Can you imagine what we'll find?
Alien despots hell-bent on killing us, deadly space-borne viruses and bacteria, incomprehensible cosmic anomalies that could wipe us out in an instant.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Welcome to Trek Central. I'm your host, Captain Jack. Let's get right into it. So, yesterday at the Paramount Investor Call for 2022, it was announced by JJ Abrams, the producer and director of previous Star Trek movies in the Kelvin Timeline, such as Star Trek 2009 and Into Darkness, that we'll be getting a new Kelvin movie with the original cast. Now, this does include Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and many more like Simon Pegg. Now, not much was said other than this, but let's break down this news, as well as some other track moving news, and see what we have. Not much more was said about this, but we do have some correlating information to build into it. So let's break down the latest Trek movie news and discuss what we have. Like always, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. As always, please know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. Okay? Engage.
You really want to head back out there, huh?
So the 15th of February 2022, ViacomCBS are now known as Paramount. They had their investor call meeting where they basically showed off all the new stuff to come from the TV series to movies and other things they're producing as a production company. Now, something was said by producer JJ Abrams. Yes, this is the same JJ who produced all the Kelvin trilogy movies, as well as directed Star Trek 2009 and of course Star Trek Into Darkness. He actually said the following: "We are thrilled to say that we are hard at work on a new Star Trek film that will be shooting by the end of this year. We'll be featuring our original cast and some new characters, but I think are going to be really fun and exciting, and it'll take Star Trek into areas we've just never seen before. We're thrilled about this film. We have a bunch of other stories we're talking about, and we think this is really exciting. So we can't wait for you to see what we're cooking up, but until then, live long and prosper." The thing that strikes me most from this article and sort of announcement is when he says we have a bunch of other stories that we're talking about. So there's definitely a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, which I personally cannot wait to see. Whether this is more stories in the Kelvin Timeline, which I would be perfectly fine with to flesh out that world and alternate timeline, or to start doing movies again in the Prime Timeline, we'll have to wait and see. Though, with Star Trek Discovery Season 3 reiterating that the Kelvin Timeline does exist in continuity, just not in the Prime Timeline, perhaps we could see some sort of quantum incursion between Kelvin and Prime. A big event where our Kelvin crew and TV series crew have to work together to save both timelines. It's just a thought, but could set us up for some interesting stories down the road. According to an article from Variety, it seems this movie is indeed the film that Abrams hired Matt Shakman to direct, which was reported last year. Matt Shakman had previously produced and directed the Marvel TV series WandaVision. It was also reported that the script was being written by Josh Friedman and Cameron Squires, and are basing it off a script originally reported to be written by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson-Duritz. For those who don't know about the Kelvin movies, they were a trilogy of movies that first started in 2009, set in an alternate timeline in Star Trek where we witness a very different take on the adventures of the USS Enterprise under Captain James T. Kirk. We got a follow-up to this movie in Star Trek 2009 via Star Trek Into Darkness, which aired in 2013. This was very much the Wrath of Khan of this trilogy, for better or for worse, you know. The trilogy sort of came to an end with Star Trek Beyond, which saw the crew enter a new frontier. Obviously, we say the trilogy came to an end, and it did, with the prospects of a fourth movie seemingly constantly distant, but it now seems close on the horizon. However, it is said that the Kelvin crew, from Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, John Cho, and Simon Pegg, and the rest are currently in talks to reprise their roles for this movie. We've actually gotten some comments from these actors in the previous couple of months, and years about them returning for a fourth movie. Only a couple of weeks ago, Simon Pegg, who obviously plays Mr. Scott, was asked the question whether he would return for a Star Trek movie, and he said he would look at the opportunity, and also said that as soon as he heard the news about Matt Shakman possibly directing a Trek movie, he said he texted JJ Abrams as soon as he heard the news. With JJ replying saying, "We're waiting for news," which seemed to be this news right here. We got an interview last year with Pop Culture where Zachary Quinto, who played Spock, said the following: "Honestly, I have no real idea what's going on with Star Trek, but we all love each other and we all love the experience, and I'm sure it comes back around, we're all available, I'm sure we'll be happy to jump back on board." No pun intended. Now, of course, we do have to make a note of Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov in these Kelvin movies. Unfortunately, he passed away during post-production on Star Trek Beyond, with a lovely dedication to him at the end of the movie. It has been said that they will not recast Chekhov to honour Yelchin, and I hope they stand by that. How they address his absence in the movie, who knows? They could do it like they honoured Leonard Nimoy in Star Trek Beyond, but making his death actually part of the movie for some characters to honour him, such as Spock dealing with the death of Spock Prime and Beyond. Or simply say that Chekhov has gone off to new ships, perhaps gone to be first officer on the Kelvin version of the USS Reliance. What if they do? We simply hope they do right by Yelchin and honour his name and memory, and the great performance he gave us as Chekhov. Compared to the current slate of Star Trek TV shows, which we know we are getting, and then maybe with the exception of Section 31 show, the Star Trek movie scene has been very chaotic since the previous movie, Star Trek Beyond, released in 2016. There has been a lot of movie news saying that Star Trek 4 or this Kelvin Timeline would happen, and it doesn't happen for various reasons. So let's get into some of those reasons, but also make note of some recent news which may suggest we may be looking at more than one Star Trek movie. In 2018, S.J. Clarkson was set to direct Star Trek 4, which would have seen the return of Chris Hemsworth to the movies. He had previously played George Kirk, James Kirk's father who tragically perished aboard the USS Kelvin against the temporal incursion of the Narada in Star Trek 2009. However, this fell apart due to the casting negotiations of both Chris's, Pine and Hemsworth, who had a very notable career after doing their respective Trek movies.
Sweetheart, can you hear me? I love you so much. I love you.
Now, some of you may remember, we also had a script being written by Quentin Tarantino and the revenant screenwriter Mark L. Smith. This one didn't happen, but was apparently going to be R-rated and gangster-like. Maybe a film adaptation of the TOS episode, A Piece of Action. We had a movie to be written and directed by Fargo's Noah Hawley, to feature a new set of actors and characters, but this was put on hold as the film was seemingly going into production of Emma Watts becoming president of Paramount Motion Pictures Group, and decided to reanalyze what we were going to do with Star Trek as a whole. Weirdly enough, news about what Noah's script might have been was going to be weirdly topical for current day, about a deadly virus ravaging the galaxy. Whether this is true or not, who knows, but it was reported by Deadline as a possibly being the case, and they're a trustworthy source. And I guess the final movie news we heard from Star Trek lately was a writer for Star Trek Discovery writing a script for a movie, Glinda Vasquez. Whether this was going to be a Discovery movie, or is still on the table is unknown at this point. Personally, I'd like to see a Discovery movie. We've had a lot of Star Trek movie news, and a lot of being let down from getting too excited to see it not happen. But it does seem, with filming set to start by the end of the year for this movie, we may finally be seeing another Star Trek film in the near future. Are you excited for another Star Trek film, potentially with the Kelvin movie cast? Many Trekkies remain skeptical about the idea of another film, given the many failed developments in previous years. But do let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because like always, if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends.
Space. The final frontier.
These are the voyages of the Starship
Enterprise. Its continuing mission
to explore strange new worlds,
to seek out new life
and new civilizations,
to boldly go where no one has gone before.